Well, thank you very much, everyone. My name is David Park. I'm here with Jim Nasipak in regards to discuss about leadership and decision making. Jim, thank you very much for taking your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Would you be able to tell me a little bit about your position and what you do?
Yes. So I currently operate in the role of Director of University Services.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on a team that oversees several different departments on the university, including dining services, conferences, the Felix Event Center, the bookstore, mail services, our print and bindery unit, Evoke, Glendora Cafe and Bakery. I think that's it. So right now, yes.
Sounds like you're in charge of a lot of things.
Well, yeah, I work with a great team. I do more of the strategic and business development portion now, as opposed to the operations. So I work extensively with Sam Simon,
Mm-hmm.
who runs the operational day-to-day pieces of it.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, in your position, I know that there are moments where you need to make decisions, and at times be able to lead others.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, would you be able to carry a moment in which you had to make those kinds of decisions?
There's every day there's different decisions that we have to make, and a lot of it comes down to data and where you are in your strategic planning. So a good example is we've recently looked at how do we increase continual growth in our Glendora Cafe and Bakery. It's an off-campus entity, but we do a lot of things on campus. So we've looked at what ways in which we can get that message out. So one of the discussions was a website. And the decision had to come down to as, do we put something up now that does not provide us an opportunity for people to order online, or do we wait 2 or 3 months until we're able to work through some pieces with our IT department to make sure we're in compliance with other pieces? So that decision came down to myself making it the majority of the time, but to help the bakery understand that it's better for us to wait 3 months to make sure we put up a product that people look at and say, hey, I want to buy something from here, as opposed to put something up, take it down, put something else up afterwards. So that was a decision that was recent, but that comes with data, that comes with talking with other people, and then the big thing is getting them to buy into why there's a need to wait, as opposed to we're in a society that always wants to do now. How do you wait to put up the best, the most excellent thing out there? So
it sounds like you do a lot of researching as well, and then afterwards decide which one's the best option.
Correct. Yeah, and I require that of the team that I work with. So when we talk about any campaign we're doing for marketing or any new business, I'm not looking for them to be the knowledge expert on it, but to have enough information and data so when we sit down and talk, we look. And I work from a premise that you're not going to know everything, so I might ask you a question. And say, what do you think our return on investment would be if we looked at doing business with local banks? Well, they might not know that, and I'm not trying to stump them, and I'd much rather have someone say, you know what, I don't know, but let me go back and look and see if there's a market for it. That's fine with me. But if you go, oh, we'll be able to do it, and they just throw out something, that's when I kind of step back and wonder, why are you giving this? I don't want you to say yes, just because I'm the boss. You need to provide proof. So
okay. All right, so continue on. We have Kuzis and Posners, who are 2 experts in this field in regards to leadership. They stated that there are 5 general practices of exemplary traditional leaderships that people usually use. The first one is modeling the way by setting examples. Second one is like inspiring others to a shared vision. Another way is challenging the process and seeking innovative ways to change, grow, and improve. Fourth way is enabling the others to act by giving them the opportunity by sharing some power and discretion and enabling them to utilize their own skills, or encouraging the heart and helping to acknowledge the contributions that the individuals themselves have put in. While being in your position of leadership, have you had experience with one of these, some or not all of these before?
Well, really those 5 play into, from my personal leadership style, play into how I interact with people on a daily basis. If you look through it, you need to know how to model, you need to know how to cultivate relationships, you have to know how to inspire people to, I don't want to say perform, but how to engage in whatever they're doing. You have to give them the freedom to think within the box, but more aptly think outside the box. And you have to give them the freedom to act. I do not come from a leadership standpoint in which I micromanage. I tell people that are on my teams that if I'm micromanaging, then there's some issues in your team that I have to deal with. But more of it is, you're over this area, I'm going to come alongside you and help you with those areas that you might be weak in, because we're always weak in it, but to help you work through it and become successful in those areas. So I think what they talk about as far as transformational leadership, it's hard to say, well, I'm going to operate like in modeling today, or I'm going to operate in thinking outside the box, or I'm going to operate in just helping them share the vision. That is a continual thing that you just work into the DNA of who you are, and that kind of pops out. Maybe one of those might be a little bit more stronger on one day than another, but they're always a part of how you operate. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And but out of the 5 though, is there one that you've always personally liked to have, or if there is one, if there isn't, it's understandable.
No, I think I probably operate more, and this is where certain leaders can get into trouble, and I've gotten into trouble, and I don't mean like bad trouble, but in this understanding of process and thinking outside this box of process. We can get, as leaders, we can define ourselves by whatever the industry we're in. So we'll only look at this industry and see what that industry they're doing. And what helps sometimes is looking at other industries and seeing what they're doing. And now can you adapt those things into your industry? So I think out of those 5, that's where I feel most is probably a space that I enjoy being in all the time. I really mess things up sometimes in that way. But it's that, and probably second that's really close behind it is enabling others to act. I really have this desire to see other people succeed. So whatever that is, to allow them to operate in that fashion, is going to be something that makes me excited, makes me engaged in whatever we're trying to do at that point in time. So those are probably the 2 out of the 5 that I enjoy operating and probably operate the most. The other 3 just are foundational pieces, then they'll work through those.
All right. And so continuing on, in any organizations, there are usually situations where you have to make judgment calls, and especially when it's tough decisions will affect you and others. And in those situations, like, what are the factors that you, or what perspective do you take in order to make those judgment calls?
Yeah. It might seem trite, but a lot of tough decisions come down to gut instinct. That's really, and meaning from years of experience, a lot of input as far as reading stuff and data. But the most important, I think, especially being in the setting that we're in as a Christian university, is this ability to discern, especially out of prayer. So a lot of decisions, if they're really tough ones, and I haven't had to make a lot of those here, but ones I do grapple with it in times of prayer and seeking out discernment from other people and talking to them. Because at the end of the day, whatever decisions made by myself or my team, I take responsibility for. So times of prayer, times of conversation with people, and conversation with people that have legacy and have experience, that I could just talk through the process and kind of get through it. Not for them to tell me, hey, this is what you need to do, but they allow me freedom to work through it. And I think that really helps in those tough decisions, because not only am I taking responsibility for the decision I make, but if I'm getting back to those 5 areas of transformation, if I'm allowing someone to operate and allow them to make the decision, if the decision that person makes is negative or something bad happens out of it, ultimately that's my responsibility. Yeah. So I have to be in a position to say, you know what, I'm the one that gave them, it comes to me. Now I'll work through it with that person, but those are hard decisions that we have to be willing to take on as well as leaders, to say, I'm the one that gave them the power. It's ultimately my decision and my responsibility. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Right before we actually wrap up everything, is there any last words of wisdom or any advice that you'd like to give to me and to the viewers and to anyone in who's
read all the time. Read periodicals, read books outside of your comfort zone. I'm reading a book called Zealot right now. It's by a Muslim that is writing about the life of Christ. Not because I'm not questioning my faith. Just gives a different perspective. But in business, read books about the arts. Read books about sports. Don't just confine yourself to just leadership management books. You can find it wherever. And great leaders are people that have a wide breadth of knowledge, and from there they're able to input into people's lives, not only in a work environment but in a personal environment as well.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim.
My pleasure.